Welcome to this episode of Now That's Good Chemistry, a podcast devoted to exploring chemicals in our lives. I'm your host, Susan Savage. We are broadcasting from our studio on the campus of Indian Hill High School, located in Cincinnati, Ohio. As we end the school year and head into the summer months, we have decided to devote this episode of our second season to a topic that will soon be much discussed by everyone: sunscreen. We are fielding questions from Indian Hill students on sunscreen and sun protection.
My name is Max Pirka, and I'm sophomore, and my question is, what is the component of sunscreen?
According to the American Chemical Society, a nonprofit science organization with over 140 years' experience, there are currently 16 sun filtering ingredients approved by the FDA. However, in the U.S., only 8 are used regularly. The ingredients in sunscreen determines how they protect your skin from the sun, either by absorbing the sun's rays or reflecting them.
I'm Logan Bass. I'm in 11th grade. My question is, how does sunscreen work?
There are generally 2 broad categories of sunscreen: chemical and physical. Chemical sunscreen absorbs the sun's rays and converts them to heat. These products contain chemicals like oxybenzone and avobenzone to provide protection. The Mayo Clinic, however, advises to avoid sunscreen with oxybenzone because this chemical may disrupt hormones and cause allergic skin reactions. Physical sunscreens, also known as mineral sunscreens, have ingredients like zinc oxide and titanium 4 oxide, which reflects the sun's harmful UV ultraviolet rays. These mineral sunscreens are generally considered safer for you and for the environment.
My name is Audrey Phillips. I'm a senior, and my question is, what do the different SPFs of sunscreen mean, and which one's the best to buy for everyday use?
SPF stands for Sun Protection Factor and measures how much a sunscreen protects against UVA and UVB rays. There is a lot of misunderstanding about SPF, and it's actually not based on how long you are in the sun unprotected. It's based on how much the sunscreen can absorb the sun. SPF refers to the sun's rays that can be blocked, not the time in the sun. You would think that a higher the number, the more protection you get. That's not always the case. SPF 50 blocks about 98% of UV rays. SPF 100 only blocks 99%, a marginal difference. The higher the SPFs tend to give people a false sense of security against the sun, leading to skin damage. I caution that these numbers are determined in a lab with perfect application that doesn't account for things like sweat, skin oil, or accidentally rubbing off the product. Also, the intensity of the sun varies throughout the day. Just remember that no sunscreen can give you complete protection against the sun. Only the shade can do that. Finally, spray sunscreens are not as effective in providing protection as those applied by hand.
Hi, I'm Dane Ward. I'm a freshman at Indian Hill. My question is, how does the SPF level on sunscreen impact your chance of getting cancer?
This reflects a common misconception. Cancer comes from the harmful effects of the sun, whereas SPF relates to the factor of the sun protection a sunscreen provides. SPF relates to protection, while the sun's harmful rays relate to cancer. Beware that some so-called sunscreens, like cocoa butter safflower, olive oil, baby oil, or coconut oil provide no sun protection. Use these products and you will thrive.
Hi, I'm Devlin Daniel. I'm in 9th grade. I'm wondering how often you have to apply sunscreen for it to continue to be effective.
The American Academy of Dermatology recommends using a broad spectrum SPF 30 or higher, with reapplication every 2 hours. And what about waterproof sunscreening? According to the American Academy of Dermatology, there's no such thing as waterproof sunscreen. Sweat and water will always wash sunscreen from the skin. That's why it's important to wait 10 to 15 minutes before getting into the water after applying sunscreen. You should reapply it every 2 hours, even if you haven't gotten in the water.
My name is Zoe Glenn. I'm in the 10th grade, and my question is makeup with sunscreen all you need to protect your face?
Using moisturizer or makeup with SPF included is a great way to add some more sun protection. But it's not enough to provide adequate protection from the sun. When testing, skincare companies test with thick layers of the product to determine the SPF. In practice, you're probably not getting all the SPF on the bottle if you're only applying a thin layer of the product. There's too much variation in how people apply makeup to say it's enough. Makeup with SPF is a nice addition, but not a replacement for sunscreen. If you're wondering how the heck you're going to apply sunscreen after you've done your makeup, you can either blot your sunscreen on top of your makeup with a beauty sponge or buy a powdered sunscreen.
Hi, my name is Betty Crabb. I'm a 10th grader at Indian Hill High School, and I was wondering if it's true that darker skin complexions don't need sunscreen.
Melanin does offer some natural protection from the sun by diffusing UV rays. However, people with darker skin can still develop wrinkles, hyperpigmentation, sunburns, and skin cancer. A study published in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology found that people with darker skin tend to have lower survival rates for skin cancer, reinforcing the need for every person to wear sunscreen. It's important to note that people with darker skin tend to have lower survival rates because of their often underdiagnosed, not merely because of the color of their skin.
Caleb Sofield, class of 2027, and the question I have about sunscreen is how long is it good to use before it expires?
If you've ever used old sunscreen and squirted a separated mixture into your hand, you know firsthand that sunscreen expired. Over time, the ingredients break down and become less effective. That doesn't mean you have to buy sunscreen every year. According to the FDA, sunscreens are required to keep the same effectiveness for at least 3 years. So you can use the same tube of sunscreen for multiple years. Just pay attention to the expiration date, which is listed on the bottle. You shouldn't store your sunscreen anywhere in direct sunlight or where it gets too hot. It's not a good idea to store it in your car.
My name is Mateo, and my question about sunscreen is, do you still tan if you got sunscreen on?
Yes, your skin will still be affected by the sun's rays, even with sunscreen on. Sunscreen only offers partial protection from the sun. Only shade can provide full protection.
My name is Grant Sapinski. I'm a junior, and my question is, does sunscreen protect you when you're on the moon?
Even with sunscreen on, if you are on the moon, where there isn't an atmosphere to absorb some of the harmful UV rays from the sun, and you took off your spacesuit, the absence of oxygen would get you before the sun's rays. Keep that spacesuit on, and you'll be A-OK. Now, that's good chemistry. is a collaboration between the students and faculty at Indian Hill High School in partnership with TARA, Toxicology Excellence for Risk Management. Our technical supervisor and Indian Hill Television Network executive producer and technology teacher, Denny Dubbs. Our script supervisor and editor is English teacher, Tom Millard. Our graphics designers are Liz George and Ryan Kennebeck. Our theme music was composed by former student Preston Marks. Thanks to the faculty, staff, and administration at Indian Hill for their behind-the-scene efforts and support. Thank you to our loyal listeners. Have a relaxing summer. Until next season, I'm your host, Susan Savage.